Around 1.5 million Haitians remain homeless from the earthquake. The majority have spent months in makeshift camps in churchyards and open fields in and around Port-au-Prince. Some of the nearly 500 encampments are in nice areas, like Petionville Golf Club and Belleville on a soccer field. A UN-led relocation brought 7,500 of the most vulnerable homeless Haitians, less than 1% of the total internally displaced persons, to new planned camps outside the city, like Corail and Camp Hope.
And the first phase of this strategy was to identify people who were in life-threatening danger of the rains. When it rains here, it rains very hard, and the drainage isn't great.
Imogen Wall of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, explains how decongestion camps were necessary to relieve conditions in 10 cities.
And camps of the kind that you see here are not sustainable, particularly not through a hurricane season.
Unplanned, spontaneously built camps suffer from overcrowding, poor sanitation, water shortages, and lack of security. Children haven't had medical care in months, and there is no school nearby. Most IDP camps offer few jobs, and even though they're considered temporary, there are doubts whether residents will be able to return home or whether new dwellings will be constructed soon. Brad Melliker of the American Refugee Committee runs Camp Hope, located just a few miles from the Dominican border. The camp houses 1,300 Haitians who came here for the hospital that treated serious quake injuries.
Blue Tarpaulin is a private school that was operating before the earthquake. As a result of the camp here, the size of the school has expanded by 400 students.
Some camp residents earn money digging holes for a fence to keep goats out of a tree farm. Here, a Christian group gives out food aid. 21-year-old Benyel Lemen, one of several hundred Haitians employed by ARC, is assistant supervisor at Camp Hope.
They want us to provide them everything. Like when you have such like distributions, they want have more than we expect to give out to them, and it's such like a crazy situation that we have to manage.
Generally, some of the more typical challenges that one would encounter in an IDP camp is tents falling apart, occasionally standing water and flooding after rains. I think that just the general frustration of the people here, they don't know what lies ahead for them.
This 22-year-old girl's house collapsed in the quake. Like many other Haitians, her family was left with nothing. In the aftermath of the quake, 31-year-old Yoel Francois fled with his wife and infant daughter from the Delma area of Port-au-Prince to the Dominican border.
Ce n'est pas confortable, mais nous essayons de nous habituer avec cette situation. Parce qu'avant, nous n'avons pas l'habitude de vivre ainsi. Ce n'est pas confortable, mais nous essayons de vivre.
I mean, I guess pleasant isn't a word I would ever associate with an IDP camp, but relatively speaking, I mean, considering the size and the layout of the camp and the relative calm in the surrounding areas, yeah, I think it's relatively ideal.
Similar to Camp Hope, Corail is an IDP relocation and decongestion camp built by the UN and US military. Most of the 5,000 residents are desperately poor. But there is clean drinking water and decent bathrooms. The camp doctor is around every day until 4 p.m. and UN peacekeepers patrol the perimeter. Jacques Saint-Louis, the camp's community liaison, says that residents want both services 24/7.
Des fois, on rencontre des gens qui ont des problèmes pendant la nuit. Et bon, quand ils ont ces genres de problèmes-là, ils n'arrivent pas à trouver d'autres personnes pour les aider, par exemple d'autres médecins ou du moins un infirmier, une infirmière quelconque.
After the quake, the Meniska family and 50,000 others settled at the Petionville Golf Club, also known as Sean Penn's camp. 1 month ago, they were relocated to Corail. They receive rice, beans, oil, and salt, but don't have enough money to buy charcoal for cooking. The newer camps are clearly a huge improvement from the chaos and despair of makeshift tent cities. However, in the poorest country of the Americas, meeting urgent humanitarian needs is very different from long-term development.
This is, in many ways, a building exercise. It's not a reconstruction exercise, it's construction.
Along with the Haitian government, the UN will coordinate the building of 130,000 transitional shelters, which are more sturdy than tents. But only several hundred of these had been built as of early May.
But the camps will have to close. Of that, there is no question. There are multiple levels of that. One is actually getting people to leave and making sure they can go where they need to be. The other is making sure that when they get there, their lives can actually function.
Although just a few thousand IDPs are fortunate enough to live in the newer camps, there are still close to 1.5 million Haitians without a home.